Right. Well, yeah, please keep commenting in the chat where you're coming in from, and maybe a fun fact of what you've done this summer. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of get started here. So again, welcome to Effective Networking Using LinkedIn for Holistic Career Success. I'm so happy that you're here. And if we don't know each other yet, my name is Felicia Royce. I am the Director of Alumni and Career Services here with achs. And I'm going to do my best today to try to get to all of your questions. And I like to have an interactive webinar environment, but I do want to let you know that I also offer more of a one-on-one meeting as well. So if you need more in-depth career coaching or support, you can meet with me one-on-one. And there's a link to schedule with me there right now. So I do everything from career coaching and mapping, business planning. I can help you with your LinkedIn if that's something you need help with, resume review. So don't be shy, go ahead and get on my calendar so we can have a more in-depth conversation. Let's see here. Thank you everyone for your introductions here. It's great to see where you're all from. So we have kind of a lot to cover today, but some housekeeping is you might have heard Troy talking here from North Carolina. Troy is our Director of Enrollment Management, and he is going to be here to support me today on the back end, just making sure everything's running smoothly with technology, kind of monitoring the chat for us as well. You'll notice that all of your lines have been muted. It's because we are recording this webinar. And, but again, I really want this to be a very interactive environment. So please don't hesitate to use the chat box, ask questions. Even if I don't know the answer, I'll be sure to get back with you after the webinar. So today we're going to talk about how to build a strong LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to take this in kind of a two-pronged approach. So I know there's some of you on the call that are really interested in the job seeking component. So building a strong LinkedIn profile for employers. And then some of you who have more of an entrepreneurial mindset that might want to use their LinkedIn for business related purposes. So we're going to try to talk about both of those things today. You might hear me interchange both of those things today as I'm kind of talking about the example profile. We're going to talk about how to use LinkedIn to network effectively, how to use the functions of LinkedIn. We're going to use an example LinkedIn so I can show you piece by piece how to create your profile. And then we'll kind of talk about some tips and tools and do's and don'ts of using LinkedIn. And then lastly, we'll really talk about, stepping away from the computer and the LinkedIn profile and how to really network within your community as a holistic health practitioner, and kind of go over some fun ways to go about doing that. All right. So why should we have a strong LinkedIn profile? And before I actually get into all of this, I'm actually very curious, everyone that's on the call today, I would love to know, do you have a LinkedIn profile? Do you use it? If you do use it, what are some benefits you found or some challenges in using it? I'd like to get a pulse on everyone's experience with using LinkedIn before I kind of dive into the facts. So please use the chat and let me know kind of your comfortable level with LinkedIn at this point. So as you guys are typing in the chat, yeah, you're welcome, Mary. You have a profile, Heather, don't really use it, hasn't done much for you in general. Great. Thank you for being honest about that. Don't really use it. I think that's really common, honestly. I didn't really start using my LinkedIn, if I'm being honest, until I was really in this role. I had a LinkedIn profile, but I didn't really use it to the best of my ability. Yeah. So since updating it, getting a lot of professionals in your field, Teresa, like to update it a little bit better. Okay. Awesome. So Taisha is using it for her business, which is great. So yeah, keep chatting in there, but I'm going to get into some details here. So LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network. And in fact, I don't really know of any business that doesn't use LinkedIn at this point. It has over 700 million members, and it just is growing exponentially every day. So it's a very unique platform that really links you to any industry and all of the professionals within that industry. So it's a really great tool. And as a holistic health practitioner, it helps you network with other professionals, helps link you up with mentors, keeps you connected to events and things that might be going on in your area, as well as, up-to-date research, maybe articles that are out there, industry relevant things that you might want to know, and keep you kind of engaged in that industry. It also connects you to recruiters and employers, which we're going to talk a lot about today, and it helps you establish your personal brand. That's the one thing that I cannot stress enough, is really using this tool to really highlight your personal brand, whether that's as a business owner or just as a practitioner in general. LinkedIn, it's really fun because your resume and your cover letter are very professional documents, but LinkedIn actually lets you be a little creative. You can talk in the first person. Of course, you want to keep things professional, but it allows you to, show a little bit of your personality, which is fun. And lastly, it helps you get noticed by recruiters and employers. So every day there are recruiters on LinkedIn looking for candidates for the positions at their companies that they're working for. They use a lot of SEO. They're looking at hashtags. They're looking at your skills. And it's really interesting because typically when you think about job searching, you think about going onto a board like Indeed, finding a job that you like, putting an application in, and then you wait. Whereas I think LinkedIn is really fun because you can actually let them come to you. So employers and recruiters are actually coming to you. And, I think that's a really unique function using this platform. I would also like to know, for those of you that are job seekers, what it's been like for you, like applying for jobs and getting your resume out there. Have you used LinkedIn? Have you used other job boards? How's it been going? Have you been getting, feedback or interviews? So, whatever you're comfortable sharing, I'd love to learn a little bit more as well. Let's see. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being so interactive on the chat here. So I'm going to actually go over an example of a LinkedIn profile. But again, I really think creating your vibe and personalizing your LinkedIn, using this tool to really highlight what your skill sets are and how that can help the industry that you're wanting to work in. Just like your resume and your cover letter, you want your LinkedIn to reflect your industry. Whether that's an industry that you've worked in for a long time or it's a new industry you're trying to get into. I know a lot of you are still students and you're looking to get into the holistic health industry. You might have a LinkedIn from, 5 years ago when you're a customer service rep, and maybe that's what your LinkedIn is really tailored around. And so what we'll want to do is update your LinkedIn profile to show all of your great skills that you've obtained in the holistic health industry. So I am going to actually use my LinkedIn as an example. Now, keep in mind that my LinkedIn is going to be a little different just because I am not currently looking for a position. I have a position here with ACHS, and I'm currently not, trying to get new clients for my business. So mine is a little more general, and we're going to talk through each section and talk about how you can really tailor that if that is something you are looking to do. And I'm going to read a couple of comments here just to make sure I'm up to date with all of the questions I've been asking. Oh, Heather, I've heard that a lot. The difficult nature of getting interviews, and you're not alone in that. Professional opportunities hasn't served you a whole lot. And Amber, if you want to schedule a time, or any of you want to schedule a time to look at your specific LinkedIn, please schedule a time with me. We can do that together. But for now, let's go ahead and just kind of break this down a little bit. So there is a lot going on with LinkedIn, and the most important thing is to have a complete profile. So what I mean by that is there are a lot of LinkedIns that I see that might have a picture, it might have a title, but it doesn't really have an about section. It doesn't really list any of your experience. So you want it to be complete, because 9 times out of 10, if your resume does end up on a hiring manager's desk, they are going to check your LinkedIn. That is just a standard in hiring practices now. And a lot of times I highly recommend having your LinkedIn URL on your resume as well. It really should be kind of an extension of your professional documents, like your resume. So obviously the profile picture. I do see a lot of LinkedIn profiles that do not include a picture. If you don't have one, I highly recommend having a professional photo. It doesn't have to be super expensive. You don't have to go see like a super expensive photographer. Something with just a nice background that's not a selfie without a lot of busyness in the background, something that is reflective of your industry. So if you're an artist, you know, dress like an artist. If you're a business person, dress like a business person. But really it should reflect how you would look at work if you're in the office. But it's really important because a lot of times when you show up in a search, the first thing they'll see is your picture. So it's important to have one there. And your banner is a lot of fun. So I just used a stock banner here, but you can actually go in here and you can upload your own photo or do a custom image. And that's really great if you have your own business and you're wanting to showcase your business on LinkedIn. If you have your own logo, you can upload it to here. Or if you want just to kind of find a stock banner that resonates with you, you can do that as well. But having something there to kind of fill in the space is nice. And then one of the very most important things about your LinkedIn page is your title. So your title really should include keywords that are specific to the industry that you're working in or that you want to work in. So if you want to be a health coach, there should be something about health coaching within your title. You can be really creative with your title. I would also avoid using things like up and coming holistic healthcare professional or seeking holistic healthcare positions. You really want to show that this is what you do professionally. This is your title. Keep it simple if you can. You actually do have up to 200 characters for your title, but this is a lot of times what shows up again when you're being searched through the LinkedIn search engine by recruiters. So that title is really important. So we're going to come back to the profile section. The contact info would be your LinkedIn URL, which, by the way, you can actually customize. And then your email, you can also include your business website if you would like in there as well. If you do not have a custom URL, I would definitely recommend going into this public profile URL here on the right-hand side of the screen. And you can actually customize this. Mine is just my name. If you have a business, you can do, / your business name. When you first sign up for LinkedIn, it'll give you kind of like an initial URL that usually has like numbers in it. So you definitely want to customize that, especially if you're using it on your resume. So going back to just the profile, so the analytics and the resources are only for you to see. This shows you how many people are viewing your profile. If you post, repost, if you post anything at all on LinkedIn, it shows how those posts are having impressions on others. And so it's actually pretty cool. You can go in and view the analytics. So you can actually see like who reacted, who commented, who reposted. So it gives you a lot of good data as to who is interacting with your content, essentially. And then this is, when I'm talking about you showing up in appearances or showing up on by employers and recruiters, this is what I'm talking about here. So when a recruiter's looking for a candidate, this will actually show you how many times you show up and where you show up. So it will give you some really good information about who is looking for candidates and yeah, it just gives you good information. And if you're interested in any of these companies, you can go in and see more about the company and maybe reach out to somebody that works there, which we're going to talk about more here in a minute. Before I go on to the About section, I want to see if there's any questions so far about the top portion of LinkedIn. Any questions about any of that?
Hey, Felicia, Teresa had a good question about the photo. Do you have any recommendations on whether that should be a photo of the person, or if they have a business logo, if that would be more effective?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Teresa. I would say you should have a photo of yourself, and then your business logo can be your banner. So I would definitely change your main profile picture to a picture of yourself. Any other questions? Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so moving on to the About section. This is where your personality really gets to shine. This is actually where I see, when I look at other people's LinkedIn profiles, this is where I see a lack of information. I think it's tough because we have a resume, we have a cover letter. It's like just one more thing we have to do, or we have to talk about ourselves. But I actually really like this section because it allows you to be kind of fun and creative. And again, speak in first person and let people know really what you're all about, how you can help their industry, what skills you have. So I'm just going to kind of go over mine. And again, mine is through a lens that might be different than yours, but I always start off with something kind of catchy. So I'm a professional that wears many hats. I'm deeply passionate about holistic health and the wellness industry. Through coaching, I guide students and alumni to their respective career paths in the holistic health field. So I'm kind of giving a little nugget of information, and then I get a little deeper about my experience. And then I really like bullet points. I'm a big bullet point person. I think it's easy to read. It gives people an understanding of, what your initial skills are. And it's just easy for them to see that right away. And then I always end with this is what I have to offer. I offer students career mapping, business coaching, guidance, resources. And then I also incorporate some of my other skills that I have as well, just in case, you never know where these connections might come from. And if you have other really great experience, it'd be great to add that in there. And then it's also fun if you do add your email address, because if somebody's just looking at your profile and they don't click on your contact information, they have a really quick way to get in touch with you. So you may be asking yourself, well, this is great, Felicia. If you have all this experience and you're looking for a career services job, but what about us that are about to graduate and we don't have professional experience, right? Like we haven't worked in the field yet. And what I would say to that is think about all of the experience you've had in school, all the case studies you've done, all of the, hands-on work you've done with herbs and essential oils, all of the coaching you've done, all of the, the research papers and the capstone that you've completed. Those are all really important pieces of experience. Now, you don't want to be dishonest or say you have experience that you don't have, but I think that is really relevant experience. And one way that you can showcase that is by going back up here to the profile section. So this section is really cool. If you go under recommend, you can actually add any license or certifications that you got while you were in school. And then what I really love is this project section. So let's say you're really proud of your capstone, like super proud of it. It took you 4 months to do it. You're trying to get it published and you want to share it with the world. So you would name this capstone. You could add your skills, and then you can actually upload a video or any type of media so you can share that information with others. Video is a really great way, like keep a video under a minute and maybe express to people why you would make a good health coach. There's a lot of really creative ways you can use this function. But for folks that don't have a lot of experience, I'd say this is a really great way to start that experience and show employers that, these are really great things that you've worked on in the field. And then the other thing to keep in mind too, just like with your resume, keep in mind, you probably have tons of transferable skills, tons of things that you've done in other positions that are transferable to what employers are looking for. So, whether that's leadership or, de-escalating clients or whatever that might look like, you know, maybe leading a team or coaching one of your teammates. You know, just think about that when you're thinking about your about section, when you're trying to change career paths. Any questions about the about section before I move on? I don't see any questions, so we will go to the experience section. So this really is kind of self-explanatory. What I would say is you probably want to give a little bit of a tidbit about what you do in your current role or your most recent role. And you can do that in just a few sentences. So again, bullet points are great. But in my role as a director of alumni and career services, my role encompasses leadership and coaching skills, implementing new initiatives. Here's what I do in my role. Here's some of my responsibilities. And then what I really like to hone in on are the skills, because those show up a lot of times in searches by recruiters. So really making sure that you're being very intentional about the skills that you choose and that they're industry specific or specific to whatever job you're trying to get. Does that all make sense? Anyone have any questions about the experience section? It's pretty straightforward. All right. Education, same thing. You know, again, if this is a new career path for you, then I would say you might want to give a little more information about what you studied in school or different projects that you worked on, because you can actually add quite a bit in here. And so, you know, feel free to kind of, you know, bullet point or add a little more information about your education section, but really, you just want to make sure that your education is relevant on there and that it's up to date. And again, adding any languages that you have, any certifications, any memberships that you might have would go down in the section down here. You know, like if you're a part of the NANP or the American Herbalist Guild, you definitely want to make that known as well, that you have industry recognition. And then, of course, the skills section. So, you know, again, really highlighting the skills that you have in your experience, in your background while you were in school, really highlighting those. And then a really cool feature that I personally haven't used yet, but I know is really fun, is you can actually demonstrate some of your transferable skills. And this is kind of like a mini interview. So you can kind of show recruiters and employers like, hey, this is how I've implemented this skill in the past, and this is what I can do for your company, which is really fun. And you can take skills assessments. These really do kind of focus a little bit more on more technology heavy skills, like using Excel and different applications. But in most positions, these are requirements. And so if you feel really comfortable using Word or Google Analytics, you can come in here and prove that by taking an assessment, which is really fun. So, I mean, that in a nutshell is a completed LinkedIn profile that's optimized and industry specific. So before I go into the networking piece, any questions about the actual profile itself? Doesn't look like any questions. So moving into the networking piece, which is why we're all here today, is to talk about networking. This is so much fun. So LinkedIn definitely has an algorithm based on your title, based on your professional experience. It's going to tell you, here's people that you know, that you used to work with. Here are companies that we think based on your profile you want to work for, which is fun. But I think that just doing a search can be really beneficial. So let's say you're wanting to be a health coach, and you want to connect with other health coaches because you want to build your community. You want to see what other people are doing, maybe where they've worked. You know, even if we're business owners on our own, we still need people that are in the industry around us. We still need to be able to refer our clients to somebody who specializes. So I'm just going to use health coach, and then I'm going to make it more specific and say Portland, Oregon. So the cool thing is that it's going to show you jobs, it's going to show you people, it's going to show you posts, all relevant to local positions here in Portland, where I'm from. You can also use this menu bar if you just want to look at people. So you'll notice on here sometimes that it will say connect or it will say follow. And there's different levels of LinkedIn. So there is like a premium that you have to pay for. And that's up to you if you want to do something like that. You don't have to kind of show you how to use that function if somebody doesn't have a connect button. But let's just look here and see if there's anyone that we want to connect with. Bethany here, I'm just picking a random person. But if I click on Bethany's profile here, we can see what her title is. We can see where she has worked, where she went to school, how many connections she has, and who we have in common. And that's a really important thing, is who we have in common, because if you want to start a conversation with somebody that you don't know, talking about who you have in common is a really good way to break the ice. So you can follow this person, you can follow them, or you can send them a message, but see like how some of them have the LinkedIn premium. Sometimes you have to have a premium to be able to message certain people. If I go back here and go to somebody who I can connect with, let's use this person as an example. This person has a more public profile. So let's say I really want to talk to this person. They work somewhere at Hinge Health that I want to work. I've done research about this company. I want to work here. And I found this person. We have people in common. You know, you can connect with this person, but really, is that going to go anywhere? They'll probably accept your connection. But to make it more personalized, what I would say to do is to connect, but send a personal note. So talk about, you know, hey, I'm trying to, you know, get into the industry. I just graduated with my master's in herbal medicine. I see that you've worked for Hinge Health. I'm very interested. I would love to pick your brain. You know, and if you're local and this person's local, you know, if you end up having a conversation, maybe you meet up or you go to their office or you go out for coffee, but sending a personal note is crucial. If you just send the canned response, or if you just connect, you're probably not going to start a conversation. But people are also looking for connections. So it's a win-win for both people. So I'm not going to actually message this person, but what I would say is something along the lines of, you know, I see that we have a mutual connection. I really would love to know more, and always end it with like a question, something that they have to respond back with, not a statement. So that's a good way to kind of start having conversations with people that you don't know. Now you can start with people that you do know, people you went to school with, instructors, people in the industry that you know, and then you can dive in a little bit deeper and see who they're connected to. And I mean, you could spend all day on here kind of going down that rabbit hole. But I would just recommend, you know, trying to build your network intentionally, not just having connections to have them, but really find people who work for places you want to work for, or maybe who do similar things. Like you could even put in here herbalist and see what herbalists are in your area. And a bunch of people pop up. So you can start connecting with them. And this is actually a good way. You can use hashtags on here. So if you wanted to do like herbal, we'll see if herbal mentor comes up with anything. Nope. The hashtags are fun because then you can see all sorts of stuff on here, like people who are using that hashtag, and then you can get linked up to all different kinds of information, groups that you might want to join. That's a really great way to network, is to join a group. So you can try messing around with the hashtags there, but there are ways to definitely find, like, even if we do herbal mentor, Portland, Oregon. I know, see, so you can kind of, it'll pull out who is a mentor and somebody that you might want to connect with to see if they need help at their clinic, or if, you know, they're looking for somebody to help them in their clinic. So this is a really great way to connect. And I'd always put your city and state in first, because obviously you want people that are close to you. If you don't have a lot of people close to you, then of course you can just be general. So that is, like, in a nutshell, how to use the network function. Any questions about that or networking in general using LinkedIn? All right. So we kind of discussed, oh, I wanted to show you too. So as a business owner, I think it's totally appropriate just to use your regular LinkedIn page. But there is a for business over here. They recently, they meaning LinkedIn, recently opened up this company page to anyone who has a business website. So if you wanted to actually have a business profile that you can have other people follow, that you can use for networking and maybe reaching out to clients, potential clients, then you can actually come down here and create a company page. There are some that you have to pay for, but I think if you just use the company one, it's free. So you just plug in your information, you have to put in your business website, but the cool thing is you can put in your logo, and then that will show up as your business instead of this little like box with weird buildings in it. So that's another way that you can use LinkedIn for the business side of things as well. What happens when we follow people? Good question. They can follow us back if they want to, or all of their content will show up in our content. I think if you have a premium membership, you might have an ability to actually message them. But if you follow people, you'll just get to see their content, essentially. Does that answer your question, Rachel? Awesome.
And Felicia, I would add on to that too. Like, as you follow more and more people in your industry or in an area that you're interested in, that feed that you have, like, you're just like any other social media, the feed that you're seeing is going to be more and more populated with things that are relevant to you. You can get ideas. You might see them comment on someone else's page that you weren't aware of, and then that might lead you to other connections, things like that. It's just a great, you don't really have to go seek things out, but you can just kind of let it come to your feed and bring ideas to you.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, it's just another way to really stay connected to the industry. And you actually brought up a really good point that I didn't really talk about, and that is making sure that you're really engaging with the content, right? Like, the more that you comment and repost and just engage in general with people's content, the more you're going to create those connections. And you actually learn something in the process too, which is really fun. And we're going to talk about using that strategy for a job specifically here in a minute. But I think just keeping in mind that this is a really good place to really like be engaged. I know other types of social media, it gets really hard because there's so many people talking at once. But if there's something that's really interesting to you, I would definitely stay engaged with that content. Okay. So making sure I did not miss anything here. So before I go into the job, before I go on to kind of the job side of LinkedIn and applying for positions and, you know, looking for companies, I do want to just kind of, you know, do a little activity where we just kind of think about our network, right? Because it's not every day we really think about, especially if we're still in school. So like, if you have a piece of paper next to you, or just if you want to think about, like, what is your current network? What does your current network look like? Who's in your network? Who do you want to be in your network? Is there anyone in particular, or any company in particular that, or somebody you really admire that you want to be in your network and isn't already in your network? And what are the current ways that you're getting out there? How are you finding those connections? What is working for you? What is not working for you? So anything that you have to say about that, I would love to hear. Anything you're comfortable sharing. Please feel free to put that in the chat. But I just think it's good to reflect on that and think about, like, who really is going to be in my network? Who do I want in my network? Go back here. Troy, I think I lost the slides here.
Okay, I can see if I can pull them up on my side and share.
Oh, actually, I found them. Sorry about that. Okay. So anyone want to share any feedback about their network at all? All right. So feel free if you think of anything, I'd love to see your answer. So I want to kind of get into the job board side of things of using LinkedIn. So I'm going to go back to my profile here. And one of the things that I definitely recommend doing is going into your security settings. And you want to go down to data privacy and make sure that the job seeking preferences are all up to date. Sharing your profile when you apply for a job, you definitely want to have that on. Signal your interest to recruiters. If you are looking for a job, I would recommend having that on. But you can actually get in here and actually update any of these functions. But you want to make sure that people can actually see you and see your profile. So it's really important that you do that before you do a job search. And then as far as looking for a job, I'm going to just look for a health coach position. Does anyone use LinkedIn to look for positions? I know there are a lot of job boards out there. I really like LinkedIn. I feel like there's a lot less fraud on LinkedIn, and you can also see like who's applied, a lot of information about the company you're applying for. Let's see here. So you can kind of see for health coaching in Portland, there are some health coach positions that are open, and you can see, information about the pay range, the employees that work at that location, and, the applicants. Now, I know when you see something like 472 applicants, that sounds really like a lot of people for one position, but you have to keep in mind that not all of these applicants are going to be qualified. So that's why tailoring all of your documents is a really important component, because not everyone who's applying for these positions are actually getting an interview. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to just say there is a company that I know of called Virgin Pulse, and they are very well known in the health and wellness industry. And I'm going to pull them up. If there's a company you know you want to work for, this is a good way to do it. So I'm just going to find Virgin Pulse here as a company. So you can see here that I'm just picking a random sales development representative. So what I love about LinkedIn is that you can actually see who works for the company. So if you apply for the position, what I would highly recommend doing is going to the company page. Here's the company page, and you can find out all sorts of information about the company, where they're located, what they're all about. So when you do reach out to that recruiter, you do reach out to that hiring manager, you can start with, hey, I see that, you really care about culture. You really care about the people in your organization. I'm really looking for that in an employer. And so really kind of getting more information about the company before you reach out to the person. that might be looking at your resume. So you can see jobs that are affiliated. But what I like is the people button. And you can actually, so let's say that you're applying for this position, you could actually look at manager. And it will pull up managers. You could look up recruiters. And you can see different recruiters that actually work for the company. Now you can apply for the position, reach out to Andre here and say, hey, I just submitted my application. I'm super excited to work for your company. And this is why. This is the experience that I have. I mean, keep it short. You don't want to give them a whole book. But you know, that's a way to really start a connection with somebody, which I think is really unique and you can't really do on a lot of other job boards or if you're just applying through a website. And again, always end with a question. So you can get really specific and I think that's a really good tool to use when you're applying for a job. You can also see the other connections. If you want to learn more about the position, you can find somebody who does the exact same position and ask them about their experience. You know, and there may be times you don't get a response and that's okay, but at least you have the option, right? It just gives you a leg up, if you will, and really connecting with the company you want to work for. So I mean, that's just kind of a brief overview, but this function does so many things. You can find any job anywhere in any industry that's currently open. And so you can spend a lot of time on here and you can also upload your resume so that recruiters can find you. And you can also do interview prep and be alerted so that you get notified when there are similar jobs that pop up. So all these functions here on the left. Any questions about the job functions? Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, Iris, I think that that's so true for so many people, including myself. I think a lot of the people in my network were people I worked with, colleagues I worked with a decade ago as well. So okay. So moving on, we already kind of talked about commenting and reposting, but if you do apply for a position, I would definitely say like going in and starting to like, if there's a company that you're wanting to work for, like going in and interacting with that company, I think is really important because they'll see that you're doing that and that you're really serious. So just a few kind of tips, you know, do's and don'ts. And this is true if you own your own business or if you're, you know, wanting to be employed by an employer. Always post engaging content, post engaging content, really promote your skills in business. There really isn't any rule for like self-promotion. So really highlight your skills, add some flavor, some personality, send connection requests. We already talked about personalizing with a note, endorse previous colleagues. Does anyone know how to endorse somebody? Is that something that would be helpful to show you? I am going to, Troy, do you have endorsements on your skills page?
Yes, I believe I do.
Can I pull up your specific? Sure. I'm going to show you how to ask for an endorsement and also how to try this again. Sorry. So here's Troy's profile. We're friends on here. So I can actually go to more and I can give Troy kudos. So again, if this is somebody that you're working or wanting to work with, you can go in and start interacting with them, or somebody you used to work with that maybe you want to work with again. But you can go in and you can request a recommendation. So Troy and I work together. I think he is somebody who would definitely be able to speak to my skill set. I can ask him, hey, do you mind giving me a quick recommendation? I definitely recommend doing that so that that shows up on your LinkedIn profile. And then if I go down to his skills, I can endorse him. And once I endorse him, it's saying, hey, I'm another professional that's saying, yes, you do have that skill. I worked with you and I know you've done it. And that's going to prompt him to go to my page and maybe endorse some of my skills. And the more endorsements you get, the better. So is that helpful? I hope kind of showing that is a helpful thing. Awesome. All right. Follow those companies that you want to work with. I think, being in touch with those companies that you really want to work with and doing a little research to see who you might want to work with, right? If you want to go into corporate wellness, start researching corporate wellness companies. And really, again, I can't stress enough being authentic, being real, showing people, what you have to offer, because you all have such amazing skills to offer these organizations. So even though LinkedIn is a giant social media platform, it really shouldn't be used like Facebook or Instagram. We really shouldn't be trying to sell our products necessarily through there. If you have a business page, sometimes it's appropriate to talk about your products, to maybe give some information about the product that you offer and a link that takes you to an external site. I think that's appropriate, but just constantly bombarding people with sales ads, this isn't really the place for that. And then again, being intentional, like you can have a bazillion followers or you can, follow a bazillion people, but if they're not really bringing any value to you, I don't really know, if that's going to be worthwhile. And it's just more information that you have to kind of filter through. So I would be very intentional with your network if you can. And we already talked about this, but make sure all of your messages are personalized. Definitely starting the message off with the person's name, maybe giving one tidbit about, their role or about the company they work for to make it really personal. And then this is definitely obvious, but we don't want to just say, hey, I really need a job. I see you're hiring. Would you be able to hire me? Right? Like we want to make sure we're building the relationship first and asking permission before we start really talking about the position, like really, relationship first, I think is the best way to go with that. And that's like, people ask me often, like, should I have the open to work on my LinkedIn? And that's a personal preference. I don't want to tell you yes or no, but I don't think you need it. I think there's other ways to engage on LinkedIn, that will give you better results. So I know I'm keeping an eye on the time, but I also just want to talk about networking in general. Networking is so important. It's important no matter what you want to do in the field, and it's getting more and more and more important in our current job market. So that's why I was kind of having you maybe rack your brain a little bit to see, like, what is networking to me? What does it look like? What do I feel comfortable with? I think most people can say they don't really love just like knocking on somebody's door they don't know and, walking into a clinic and saying, here's my card, I want to work here. That can feel uncomfortable. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but I'm all about what I like to call organic networking. So trying to put yourself in a place with like-minded people. And so often I'll say, while you're in school, that's a great place to connect with other people. Great place. If there's somebody you connected with in the classroom, make sure you exchange contact information or you connect on LinkedIn. Go attend a health and wellness fair in your area. Go to a community class. If you like yoga, go to yoga. Have your business cards with you. Just try to be in places where other people are that you might strike up a conversation with. If you are so lucky to be able to go to a retreat, this is a really great website, and I'll send it to you guys after the webinar. But like, if you're an herbalist, I looked at Portland specifically, but here's all the herbalist events going on in Portland for the summer. So going to a plant immersion, there's going to be people from all across different walks of life with herbal medicine that will be there. So yeah, I would definitely just say, like, try to find an organic way to start having conversations with people. Have a shirt that has your business logo on it. Conversation starter. Have your logo on your car. Find outside of the box ways to really start connecting with people. And then I can't stress enough, like, becoming a member of professional organizations, whether that's NAMP, if nutrition is something you're focusing on, or American Herbalist Guild. Staying connected with those professional organizations are really important. NAHA or AIA, if you're, if aromatherapy is your path. I can't stress enough, even as a student, to have a student membership and stay connected and up to date with them. Any questions on organic networking or any comments? Oh, Rachel, the activity slide, sure. Is that helpful? Awesome. I'll leave it up there for just a second. Any other questions? Was that enough time, Rachel? Did you get what you needed? Okay, cool. All right. So, it's easy for me to sit here on this webinar and just say networking is easy and you should go out and do this and do that. But the reality is networking can be hard, and there are a lot of things that can be barriers. A big component of that is time. You're a student, or you're just graduating, you have a family, or you have, a job, or both, or you have things going on. And this does take time, and it takes effort, and it takes follow-up. So I just want to validate that you are not alone in feeling like a little confused with this process. And also, really like being intentional with your time, and maybe scheduling time can be really helpful. Maybe it's an hour a week to start with that you put on your calendar for networking specifically. But I think, being intentional with that time is important, and also acknowledging that sometimes you don't have the time. And that's why LinkedIn is helpful, because you can connect with people from afar. And I think for some people, it's also a comfort level thing. I know for me, I am not somebody who likes to talk in front of other people much. I'm not, inherently like somebody who can just go up and like start chatting with somebody really easily. And so I think acknowledging that, and acknowledging what you are comfortable with and what types of environments to start with until you start getting more comfortable is important as well. I hear from some of you that it's an intimidating process going up and creating relationships with people you don't know. So again, just acknowledging that. And I think sometimes, like especially when we're like entrepreneurs, it's like we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have LinkedIn. Like, where do we start? Which platform do we use the most? And I would say LinkedIn is a really good platform specifically for making connections with like-minded people and with people in the industry. I think if you're trying to sell your product, like I was saying, LinkedIn probably isn't the best bet, although there is some wiggle room for that. But if you feel overwhelmed by that, just pick one to start with. You don't have to be a part of every platform to begin your business. And yeah, get creative and see what you come up with. And I just want to like open it up for just general questions. Anything that sparked any thoughts or any questions that you have up to this point? You're welcome, Stephanie. All right. Well, I just have a few other things I wanted to cover before we wrap up today. So for those of you that are current students or prospective students, just a reminder that Fall 1 starts on September 5th, and the registration deadline is the 10th. And as we talk about networking, part of my job is to facilitate networking within ACHS and within our students and our faculty, and to keep that network going. So I would definitely encourage you, if you haven't already, if you're an alumni, to join our alumni LinkedIn network. If you are a current student or alumni, the Facebook coaching group is also a great place to connect. A lot of great conversations happen in there, and a lot of advice happens in there. So if you haven't been a part of that group, I highly encourage it. And then I want to hear from you. I hear all the time from people like, I would love to connect with other students. And because of FERPA rules, and because of just, generally not knowing who's comfortable with that, it's hard for me to connect people without their permission. So I'd love to hear from you. If you want to be part of a networking group, please let me know. Let me know what your questions are, what kind of group you want facilitated for you, and I will be sure to follow up and start connecting you with other people. And that is my email address right there, FeliciaRoyce@achs.edu. Okay. And then micro-credentials are another great way that you can actually add badges to your LinkedIn page. It's a great way at your own, self-paced specialized courses that you can actually like, get in-demand skills and show that on your LinkedIn. This is especially good for those that are like, trying to get into a new industry, or maybe have graduated and wants a refresher or want more information on a certain topic. We have micro credentials in aromatherapy, herbal medicine, nutrition, and wellness. You can find those on our website, but those badges do get placed within once you complete the micro credential on the LinkedIn page for you to share with others. And then really, I've already said this, but networking is critical in your job search and business planning. So I highly encourage you to be doing it, not, just when you graduate from your program, but throughout your program. I always say keep like a spreadsheet. You can have a spreadsheet with industry specific contacts, and then you can have a spreadsheet with potential clients, but start that spreadsheet early. And again, there's so many different ways to network. If you want to explore some of that, please schedule an appointment with me. We can talk about your own specific scenario. But that's pretty much it. Thank you all for being here and letting me walk you through that LinkedIn profile. And I hope it was helpful for you. And yes, you will be getting a recorded version of this as well. And for those who couldn't attend live, this recorded version